Welcome to the Get to Know Memphis First United Methodist podcast. I am your host, Thomas First, and I will be interviewing people from our congregation so that through great stories, laughter, and tales of the experience of the God who is an active agent in our world, we can get to know one another. Welcome to the Get to Know Memphis First podcast. I am Tom First, pastor of Memphis First, and I am excited to welcome you to our very first episode. I have decided that even though I have recorded other episodes, I want Jesse Ammons to go first.
Okay.
I should have probably warned you of that beforehand, but no, Jesse, we'll go in the order that seems good to me. But yeah, you're like the fifth or sixth interview I've done, but I was thinking it would be a great way to kick this off to have somebody who's just universally loved by the congregation kind of be the first
Okay.
person. So, as I said a few weeks ago, Jesse Ammons is the crown prince of Memphis First United Methodist. Grew up at the church, right?
Yeah. I've been basically since I was born. I think I was like 6 months old when the church caught on fire. So I have been here
Oh,
through all of it. They used
wow.
to back when they would do it at people's houses, because after the church would burn down, they would just put people in put me in people's laps, just pass me around during the meetings.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
So
That's
yeah, I've
amazing.
been here for all of it basically.
That's incredible. So your earliest memories of the church are really not even this building. And it wouldn't be the old building. It would have been like the rebuilding.
A lot of my memory is in the back where we used to worship in the what do you call that building? The where the kitchen is and kind of
Oh, the Pepper
that whole
Building.
area. Yeah, so in the Pepper building, that's what I a lot remember growing up. But then I also
Um,
remember when we were building and fundraising for the current sanctuary. I helped with a lot of that at the time.
were you like the face of the church where they're like, here's this cute little baby, give money to this baby so he can have a church home?
No, but I would help set up for, the fundraisers and stuff like that. So it was fun.
Incredible. That's incredible. I mean, your family in general seems to have like a very strong sort of like servant-hearted ethic. Like you all. So it sounds like they were sort of putting you onto that real early.
Yeah. And I think also I'm a Boy Scout, so growing up that was another reason why I just started helping around the church, and that's just kind of something my family's always done. If there's a problem, they try and fix it. And
I wish I could multiply your whole family by 100. It's incredible.
just clone them.
Yeah. So when you think about, growing up in the church, are there memories early on where you feel like, God spoke to me or appeared, or was it just sort of like God's always there?
I think it was just he's always there, I've
Mm.
never strongly been there's been some crazy masterful experience where I'm oh, I
Yeah.
see the Lord in front of me, but it's just kind of there's always been small things, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah, yeah. I think like in some ways the ways I've articulated it for myself because I don't know that I've ever had like an experience of God that I can just be like, oh yeah, that was objectively, the Lord appearing in all God's glory, right? I've never really had that, but I have articulated recently that I think the Bible sort of sometimes like sets us up for false expectations on that because like the Bible's just
Hmm.
these stories of God showing up to these individual people. But for the most part, like people didn't get that. Like the mass of people just had like God was just always around them and they participated in the synagogues or the church or whatever. And it was their normal life. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of your experience of God.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, just I've not had something in particular that's been super, you know,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you recall then a time in like your childhood or growing up or whatever in this church where you were just like, yeah, these are my people, or, like these people love me?
I think like yeah, it's the kind of game where there's not a super experience. I think like just being in the church and like I have always loved that. Like whether and especially I think recently like really showed me my love of like this church is doing my Eagle project because like I
Ah,
really got to see the community like come together and like we raised $3,000 in the span of a month, roughly. So, like, that was kind of shocking. And, like,
yeah.
seeing, like, the support from the community and, like, walking down the stairs after church and, like, people coming by and being like, oh my gosh, your project looks so cool. Is like, seeing all that support was really, like, that was really nice to
Yeah, for
see.
those who are listening and aren't and don't know you or the project, what you want to remind them what you did?
So, if you've ever like walked by the church and you've seen the alleyway, I basically renovated that and like fixed up some old picnic benches and repainted them. We
You
added in
painted
a
them. They look beautiful. Yeah.
grill, prep table, and then we put up sunshades, which that was kind of the hardest part.
Uh,
But so like we put up sunshades over the alleyway, just trying to make it like a better environment for like both the ministries and like so that we can use it as a church more often and throw events
Such an
out there.
incredible idea, man. And it turned out so beautiful. What made you decide that that's what you wanted your Eagle product to be?
So originally, that wasn't even what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something at the church. I've
Okay.
like known that was kind of like when I was thinking about, it, I was like, okay, I want to do something at the church. Originally, it was actually going to be the library, but that fell through. So we just kind of was like, where's another place that needed help? And
Yeah.
it's what needed work. So.
That's incredible. Well, I mean, I'm glad you ended up doing what you were doing because it's beautiful and incredibly welcoming space. So, you have this, sort of drive to serve people. It seems like it's a part of your DNA. And I would guess that even to the degree that you do experience God, I would wonder if like it's through acts of service like that and just sort of seeing people enjoy what you put together.
Yeah,
Um,
I would 100% say that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you also serve on Sunday morning. You work up in what I call the nest, the eagle's nest, and you make sure that the sound and the videography and all of that is going. How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that for 3 years, I think. When the old pastor, his son, will used to run it, and after they left, they needed somebody to fill in. So I had like occasionally done fill-ins for them when they were out of town, but that was like the first time I had like fully been running it, and then it just has kind of grown into like what it is now with the projector and we have a lot more work to do, but it's worth it, you know?
So funny. Like I have just assumed that you've been doing it since you were like 4 years old. Like I didn't know.
No. I mean, I was kind of I knew how to do a lot of it just because like I used to like do various different like online stuff. So like I known some of the softwares and stuff like that, but I hadn't really like touched it until like kind of when Andy left. So,
Yeah. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, when I got there and I knew that you were like the consistent person, I was like, we need to give that dude at least a little bit of money. But I assumed you had all this experience. Jesse, you
no.
had none. I shouldn't have paid you at all. I want my money back, Jesse. I want 3 years worth of $20 a Sunday. Oh man, but I appreciate the way you just throw yourself into service in our church. I think God can be seen in that in itself. When you look back across the span of your life, is there a person you look to that like, yeah, this is a spiritually a person like I want to be like, or that, I feel like they get it right and their faith, is inspiring to me?
Yeah, so Rob Landergan, who's my scoutmaster, who
Mm.
is basically a second father to me, if that makes sense. I'm a good friend with his kid, and we're actually rooming together, which is fun. But he is kind of the ideal human being, if that makes sense. Like, he's constantly volunteers for scouts and like
Mm.
basically runs our entire organization, and he volunteers at his church and like a bunch of stuff. So I would 100% say him. And he's also been like a super like inspiration for me, is like doing like making stuff. Like he kind of got me into photography and is like one of the big like resources that I use when I'm like looking into stuff like that. So
It's
he's a
cool.
massive inspiration for me.
That is cool. You will definitely want to make sure you share this episode with him because I'm sure he will love to hear his name on it. So this is kind of I mean, this can be a serious question or even a silly question, but when you think about just like the essence of who Jesse is, like, is there like a story that illustrates for, other people listening that are wanting to get to know you that's like, oh, like this is who Jesse Ammons is.
Yeah, I think, does it have to be church related? Because
Oh,
I
no,
can't
no,
think
not at
about
all. Not
the.
at all. It can be completely unrelated and goofy. Yeah, whatever you want, man.
Yeah, I think probably a good or a good story to explain who I am. So I go to a scout camp each year,
Hmm.
and the first year I wasn't really prepared, and this was when I was
That
like
seems like a
in.
violation of Scout Code, right? Always prepared.
Yeah, yeah, but like I made it work. So at the end of like the week,
That's the
the
new
like
Scout Code. Make it work.
yeah, like Tim Gunn says. Anyway, so the end of the first week, each like the beginning, the new scouts, they always hike up this mountain and they spend the night there. And I didn't know that I would need a backpack or something like that. So I just brought a duffel bag and thrown all my stuff in there. And so as I was about to hike up this mountain, I realized I don't have a way to carry my stuff. So I grabbed a sheet and I grabbed a stick and I made a hobo pack and I
Whoa.
hiked up that mountain with my all my stuff in a sheet and just kept on marching
Oh
and
my
walked up the
gosh.
way and just put everything in a hobo pack. So that's
That's
probably
incredible.
a good example. Yeah, they called me Jesse James after that. That was my nickname for a while. So
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. How long was the hike?
not, I mean, it was probably like a couple miles, but like it wasn't anything crazy. Like
But
I'm
that's a
used
lot
to
of
that
hiking for just
now.
like having a knapsack over your shoulder on a stick.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
amazing. It's amazing. So when you think about God and who God is there an image that comes to mind, like a metaphor or a theme?
I is a weird one. I don't know if you've ever seen that like illustration that they did that's based around like what Jesus would have actually looked like.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
doing that's what I see. And kind
Mm.
of I think like part of the reason why I think I see that image so much is because that was like, and this might sound a little weird, but the first time I like distrusted the church, if that makes
Oh,
sense in a weird
yeah.
way, or like
Yeah.
showed me like yeah some of the like what like white Jesus and like stuff like
Yeah.
that, and especially like relating to like being gay and growing up like
Mm,
that, like having seeing that like oh yeah sometimes it is wrong and it they got it wrong, and the
yeah.
Bible can be changed and like used in this harmful way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh man, that's so interesting. Yeah, to just like that's kind of the essence of spiritual growth I find is that what we expected God is like, it turns out God is not like that. And then that opens up this whole realm of possibility of things that I'd like never thought about before. I like to say it like that God is uninterested in being held captive to any of our categories and likes to just like break them all apart. And so as soon as I figure out like I've got this image or this thought of who God is, like God is like, okay, time for me to destroy that. And I'm glad you had that experience. I think historically sometimes the church has been pretty negative about people rethinking even what Jesus looks like or who God is. But I think that that's a beautiful element of growing a relationship with God. So really the last question I have is how, I mean, you and your family are pretty involved in Memphis first, and you, like you said, like you have been really from the very beginning of your life. How has that just shaped you into the human you are today?
Oh, I think it's like trying to think the right way to say this. I think it's just like led me to being a the best person that I can be, if that makes sense. And like especially like leading me to like volunteer and help when I can. And like I've, basically ever since I was little, like if somebody needed help at the church, my mom would just be like, you go do that. Like she basically just volunteered me for like any small task. So like I think that's helped me like be able to like go out and like help others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man, that's
Um,
incredible. Yeah. Well, I think whatever it is that your family and the church has done has been effective because you're an incredible dude, and I wish I could
yeah.
clone you. There's a part of me that grieves that you are leaving.
Yeah.
You want to for folks that don't know where you're going, you want to tell us where you're going to school and what you're studying?
So I'm going to Middle Tennessee State University, MTSU in Murfreesboro. So not like far, but like so I'll probably come back. I'll pop in occasionally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I plan on majoring in digital marketing. So
Oh,
and
okay.
possibly minoring in photography or videography. Haven't fully worked that out yet, but so
Was it your interest in like photography and stuff that originally got you interested in like digital marketing stuff?
I have always been like I basically grew up on the internet. I know that like
Mm.
sounds weird.
Sure.
I mean like not fully, but like I have spent a lot of time, especially I think COVID like led to that a lot.
Oh yeah.
But so like I've really like always been super interested in like the algorithm and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
and then like
Man,
having skills in photography and videography kind of help with that, and
yeah.
so
Well, I could tell from the moment I first stepped into the congregation that you were a deeply loved guy here, that this church really appreciates what you do, what your family does. And in the 3 years I've gotten to know you, man, you're an incredible guy. And I do grieve that you're leaving. I do wish that I could clone you, but I am super excited for you. And thank you for being theoretically my first podcast episode.
oh yeah, glad I could be.
All right, Jesse.